Hi everyone, Derek Hooper here. I want to talk to you a little bit today about releasing the golf club. I see a lot of confusion amongst players when I meet them for the first time about how to actually return the club to square and what the release really is in the golf swing. And today I want to walk you through a little bit what is actually happening with the body, the arms, the hands and the club to get it back to square and thus hit solid shots every time. So let's talk a little bit about the release. A lot of players that I meet, when they think about the release of the golf club, think a lot about how the club's going to go from here and they want to roll the club face into impact to try and get it to square. The problem with that approach is that you're essentially taking the club from an open position here in relation to the target line and then rotating it aggressively on the way through. So it means that the club is rotating from an open position to a closed position in a very short period of time in a very small space. So what that can mean is it's very, very easy to have the club face too open at impact and make the ball go to the right, a little bit too closed at impact and make the ball go too far left, or on the rare occasions you're going to hit the ball pretty square because you managed to get the club face nice and square at impact. And all of those positions are going to feel basically the same, which is going to make it extremely difficult for you to have any control over where the golf ball's going, just purely because the face is rotating too quickly in too short a period of time. So today what I want to talk about is, well, what is the release of the club and how can we get that club back to square as consistently as possible? So essentially what we want to do is be aware that during the backswing it's essentially made up of three moves. It's made up of a wrist hinge, an arm lift and a shoulder turn, and then we blend those three motions together to get into the backswing position. When we swing back down, we essentially undo those three motions. So by the time I get to this point in my downswing, all I'm really going to do is continue to rotate and unhinge my wrists. So if I didn't rotate my body and just brought my arms back in front of me and unhinge the wrists, now the club comes back to square. So what I'm saying here is that your release of the club is actually this. And that's what I'm doing to release the club. The reason it moves from here into impact is because my body is rotating. So as I start the downswing, my lower body is going to lead out. As it slows down, my upper body is going to reach its maximum speed. It's then going to slow down so the arms can reach their maximum speed. So the arms come back and catch up in front of the body and bring the club with them. As that's happening, my wrists are making this motion so that I contact the ball nice and solid. So what I'm saying is I want that club face to stay square. So whether I'm here in the backswing, if I turn that back in front of me, I don't roll my wrists at all. There's my unhinging to get the club back to square. If I start here again in my downswing delivery position, I bring that back in front of me and then turn around on this side. There's my follow through position. But at no stage there have I actively rotated my wrists during the downswing and thus into impact. So a couple of keys I want you to take away from this today. Number one, I want you to keep in mind that whatever you do in the backswing, you're going to have to do equal and opposite at speed in the downswing. So if you're going to roll the club away in the backswing, you're going to have to roll it shut in the downswing, which is extremely difficult to do, as we talked about, at speed. So what we want to see is we want to see that club staying more this way. We want the wrist to hinge so that when I come back down, all I've got to do is let my body rotate, the wrists unhinge, and I can hit the ball nice and solid. Great drill for you to feel how that's going to work is if I take my impact bag and all I want to do is get my address position here. I'm going to get to my downswing and then I want to get the feeling of just turning the body and letting the wrist unhinge and into the impact bag. So I get the sensation of how I should be returning the club to square, and the reality is that is the release of the club. It's a body rotation and an unhinging of the wrists to cause the club to get back to square. And if you're aware of that, doing a little work on this impact bag work, you're going to be able to compress the ball a lot more solid, you'll be releasing the club correctly, and you'll hit a lot more straight shots.